So, welcome to anybody new and to our community that is going to be watching this both on the live stream on Facebook and Jewish Live and watching it on demand later. I want to honor the land that I'm on, even though it's called Redwood City, California right now. It is inhabited by, or was inhabited originally by the Lamchin tribe of the Ramaytush people who are Costanoan Ohlonese. And my young audio engineer, Robert, is here to check out the sound so that we can also make these into podcasts for people, pull the meditations out and make them easier. So you don't have to have the video. So thank you in advance, Robert, for trying that out today. If you want to introduce yourself, probably easier just to do it in the chat, though we're a smaller group today. Just makes it simpler. You can say where you're coming from so everybody can see that. And start with a little bit of general meditation. If you're relatively new to this practice, please be kind and compassionate with yourself. Meditation is a lifelong practice that we get better and better at the more we do it. And if you set your expectations that just being here, just listening to this is a wonderful gift that you give to yourself instead of focusing on what happens or what doesn't happen, then you'll appreciate the time that you're setting aside today. You can always reach me if you have any questions through my website, wendielash.com, about meditation or anything that gets raised by something that I might share here today. So today's meditation, I thought we would focus on light and darkness. And if you're familiar with the morning liturgy, the Shacharit liturgy, there is a blessing that is said by people that do traditional liturgy every day, the Yotzer or blessing, which is God that creates or unfolds both dark and light. And we know in the creation story that out of the darkness is where, I'm just going to change this. Why is that? Okay. Out of the darkness, out of the chaos is where light emerged and where all of creation emerged. So, looking at that, Judaism does talk about light and dark, and it does give us some ways to hold dark and light. I lead a contemplative chanting service once a month, and we usually bring in some kind of poem for. I bring in some kind of poem or reading that where we see that light and dark are looked at in many cultures and many ways. And specifically in Judaism, Kabbalah addresses this as well. So, in the Kabbalistic understanding of how does God manifest God's self in creation, we have a couple ways that we look at it. One is the sense of the concept of tzimtzum, which is translated as contraction. So, in the great beginning of all of creation, if God's presence was manifest everywhere, how did creation in its physical sense arise? And the Kabbalistic creation story says that God contracted God's self and created a void, a dark, unfilled place. And only by contracting and allowing that space and that darkness to be present could all of creation that we know manifest itself. And so the understanding, and it's embodied in this Yotzer or prayer, is that dark and light are both sacred and divine and holy, and that we can see the blessing and uh, the divinity in both that which we call dark and that which we call light. The last couple of weeks, I've shared about two different levels of soul. We talked about the neshama a couple weeks ago, which is that pure, highest level of soul where we are um, untainted. It's how we're born in that perfect uniqueness that we are all created in. And then last week I talked a little bit about the nefesh, which is that part of the soul that gets a little dusty, dirty. We need to work with it. We want to remove the schmutz that's on it so that the radiance of who we are can shine through more. And today I can weave in the third level of soul that is looked at in Jewish spirituality, which is ruach. And ruach is the part of the soul that is animated, that is alive, that the sense of God and divinity moves through us. And so we are an embodied presence. We are a unique soul, but we are also animated and connected to the greater spirit and the greater mystery of all creation that many name God through the Ruach. And as I mentioned the last couple of weeks, all of these words for soul in Judaism all also have a connection to breath. And breathing is the basic form of meditation that we return to when we get lost, is we can always just return simply to the breath, notice the breath in the body, feeling the breath move in and out. Um, and that the Kabbalistic understanding of God being in both dark and light, God informs, God creates, God fashions. There are many ways to look at that yotzer or blessing, but that the darkness and what seems like an empty void, it has just as much power, is as divine and as sacred as that which is animated and lively and has light in it, and that the need to have them working together is necessary. We would not understand light were it not for our understanding of darkness, and we could not appreciate the sun if there wasn't a time when the sun wasn't in the sky. If the sun was always in the sky, we would never see the stars. So the gifts that come from having both dark and light is another way to look at this. And Kabbalah also uh, looks at that there really is no place that's devoid of light, that in any darkness is the emergence ready to emerge, or the small sparks that we can't see, and that if we work to uncover, we can see those sparks and the pieces of light that are that we hadn't seen initially, but that will emerge in the darkness. And that light, so light is present in all darkness, and there's also darkness in all light, and to recognize the equality and the necessity of both. When we're in a darker place, one of the things that can be useful is to focus on where is the light. I cannot make the darkness go away, but I can focus on the light, and I can elevate that light so that it is brighter and becomes what I'm focusing on instead of focusing on the darkness. So that's the teaching for today's meditation. And the chant that I'm going to sing is a lovely one, bringing my flower back in, um, is a lovely one that I learned. The creator, the author of this chant, her name is Melanie Demore. And I actually learned this on a Buddhist meditation retreat, the last one that I went on in January. And it is just so beautiful. And the story behind it is also beautiful, that if I'm remembering it correctly, this artist was about to go on stage and something very painful happened. Either she discovered that somebody had died, or somebody close, something happened. And in the moment, she created this chant, which in essence was bringing lightness to the heavy, dark feeling. that she had and that she was sharing with others. So it seemed to be a good fit on today's theme. I am sending you light to heal you, to hold you. I am sending you light to hold you in love. I am sending you light to heal you, to hold you. I am sending you light to hold you in love. I am sending you light to heal you, to hold you. I am sending you light to hold you in love. I am sending you light to heal you, to hold you. I am sending you light to hold you in love. I am sending you light to heal you, to hold you. I am sending you light to hold you in love. So take a moment and think about who you might want to dedicate your practice to today. Maybe it's for yourself. Maybe it's for someone you know that is feeling more darkness and you would like them to feel more light. And take your next breath in, feeling your lungs expand, and breathe deep down into the belly. And as you exhale, focus a little bit more into your body, letting the mind soften. Breathing in deeply down into the belly, expanding the lungs front and back and wide to each side. And as you exhale, just let everything go. Let the shoulders drop. And sitting up in a nice, firm way, feeling the grounding into your chair. You may notice your back on the back, low back on the chair, feeling those sits bones, the backs of your thighs. And as you breathe in, softening the front of the chest, softening the heart and the lungs and the collarbone. And as you breathe out, elongating the spine from neck to tailbone. Breathing in, soft front, and breathing out from the base of the skull all the way down to the sits bones to the tailbones. Nice, strong back. And just relax into your own natural breath rhythm, receiving the breath of life and exhaling and returning your breath into the communal. Breathing in, receiving, breathing out, and releasing. And with each breath, Imagine a little pebble that is dropped on the top of a pool of water as it descends down each breath, taking you a little bit more inside, a little bit more settled. Breathing in and letting go on the exhale of any thought that is not helpful, that is thinking about something you need to do or somewhere you need to go. Just returning to the breath. You may want to say to yourself, breathing in, and on the exhale, say to yourself, breathing out. We let our breath connect us to that calm place, that connected place where we are connected to ourselves in a very deep, present way and connected to one another and connected to all of creation and the sacred that animates all of creation. And so we'll do a scan of the body from top to bottom in whatever way feels comfortable for you. It might be breathing in and stopping on the release of the breath, or it may be breathing in and breathing down a little bit more as you breathe out. We notice at the top of the head, the scalp, and the hair as we breathe in, the forehead, and behind the forehead, the brain and the mind, the back of the forehead, the back of the skull. And moving down the body as we breathe in, noticing the eyes and the back of the eyes, how the eyes rest in the sockets, and the nose, the tops of the cheeks on either side of the nose. Breathing in and noticing the back of the head and the jaw. And breathing in and breathing out, noticing the tongue and the roof of the mouth and the teeth. And breathing in and noticing the neck and the windpipe and the throat. And as we continue to allow ourselves to expand into the body, opening up an invitation to anywhere it feels like it needs some extra attention, maybe a heaviness in the chest or the heart, It may be the lungs that need to breathe fully and deeply. Maybe the shoulders, the shoulder blades, the low back, or the belly. What we're doing is inviting the body to be present however it is and to honor whatever we're feeling. That may be a physical sensation. It may be a felt sense. It may be a sadness, a sense of loss, a tightness. It may be a thought that arises. And what we will do is, as we notice a thought or a place in the body, or maybe an image comes to you, something that you've seen, or someone dear to you that you're holding that you know is suffering, or maybe your own heart and your own spirit. We will send some intentional light and lightness, whatever that means to you, to the place that feels heavy or dark. In the same way that if we pay attention and notice with our eyes closed, that it really isn't pitch black, that there are little points of light behind the eyelids that we can see, and even shadows of images and things that we looked at, or our eyes trying to search for something, that there is light. And if we don't see it in the image or don't feel it in the place that we are exploring and wanting to bring light to, then we can bring that light in from outside of us, from the sacred grounding of all being, from that merciful, compassionate, unending source of love that wants us to feel love and loved and loving. We invite a light to surround us, to make us feel warm, or if we're in a heat wave, maybe deliciously cool. A light that brings healing, a light that honors the darkness and the heaviness and acknowledges that life is constantly flowing, just like the spirit that flows through us, that Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit that animates all of us. Things flow through us, time changes, we change. And when we are holding something that is heavy or constricted or dark, to invite in the flow of light and love, the healing energy that reminds us we are connected. We are living spirit beings, and what we feel in this moment is not necessarily what we will feel in the next moment. So, to be soft and gentle and not holding fast is the way that allows constricted or dark or heavy places to move through us. And by simply noticing that light is here too, it helps us to hold and be with times that are more challenging. And so I want to give you a little time to be in your own way with bringing in light, uncovering light, turning towards the light for a few minutes without me saying anything. And I'll bring us back with a chant. And just remember, if you feel like you get stuck, return to the breath, breathing in and breathing out, and feeling the movement in you of life and aliveness. So as we prepare to come back, just using the sound of my voice to remind you of the container of community that we are in. And taking a last few minutes to feel light and love flowing to you and to those in your life that you know need it, to situations or places in your body that could use some extra light and love. I am sending you light to heal you, to hold you. I am sending you light to hold you in love. I am sending you light to heal you, to hold you. I am sending you light to hold you in love. I am sending you light to heal you, to hold you. I am sending you light to hold you in love. I am sending you light to heal you, to hold you. I am sending you light to hold you in love. Taking a nice breath in from the top of your head, filling up your lungs, feeling down into the bottom of the belly, and letting it go. Taking one more breath in, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And as you are ready, you can come back by wiggling the body a little and opening the eyes, moving around, shaking off if you need to. And I saw in the chat that there was a problem with either the link I sent out through my email list or maybe a link that people were using. So I hope that if somebody had trouble getting in, that they can watch the on-demand version of this later. I wanted to just add a note here before we end, um, and then we'll stop the stream, and we have time for some questions in the Zoom. That this level of soul, or this way of thinking about the soul, this ruach spirit, this that moves through us. Ruach is also um, can also be translated as wind. So it's got this sense of what moves through us, and that we are. What we know from science is that we're constantly, our cells are constantly dying and being reborn, and that we are constantly emerging in a new way. And so each situation that we encounter where there's something new and challenging or unknown to us is an opportunity. Yes, it can be challenging, and because we don't know what's happening or how we're going to respond to it, but it's also an opportunity to emerge another um, face of who we are as a soul, another opportunity for creation. And so if we meet it with a softness instead of a hardness, we can um, explore and be curious um, to what is emerging in us and emerging around us, and to trust in the process of our own continual emergence. Tomorrow night is the Jewish holiday of Shavuot, where we commemorate. It's one of the harvest festivals, and it's also where we commemorate the receiving of revelation of um, the Ten Commandments or the 10 utterances at Sinai. And what this spiritually reminds us of is that we have the opportunity to receive revelation both out from outside of us and also from inside of us. That something, a new situation may be an opportunity for us to actually discover something new about who we are and our own wisdom and our own strength. And so I know that Jewish Live is doing a Shavuot. I'm actually 10 p.m. Pacific, 1 a.m. Eastern. In the morning, I'm doing a session on contemplative spiritual practices for revelation. And there's a whole lineup of people that um, and there are lots of other listings of places where you might want to go and see what speaks to you about what's new and emerging in this time for you that can be seen as a gift of your own creative journey as a spirit. And I'm going to leave you. I'm a little over, but we'll go with. I wanted to read this lovely quote from Rav Kook, who was the first chief rabbi of Palestine, which later became the state of Israel. He said, creation is not as something completed, but as constantly becoming, evolving, and ascending. This transports you from a place where there is nothing new to a place where there is nothing old, where everything renews itself, where heaven and earth rejoice as at the moment of creation. So may you feel the creation moving through you and in you, and that you are part of. And we end by saluting the divine in each one of us with B'Tselem Yah. You are created in the image of the divine, and may you be reminded of that continually. Thank you. B'Tselem Yah.